Guys, pat yourselves on the back right now, okay? Let's do it.
He became belligerent, abusive, defiant, defensive. Not righteous indignation, but actually self-righteous denigration was what I felt like we were hearing.
Well, I think I've been toned down. You want to know the truth? I could really tone it up.
I rejected those answers. I chose something different. I chose the impossible. I chose ROBrants.
All right, so I want to hit the ground running right now. Head this off before it becomes a thing. I didn't realize until like the middle of the day, planning to launch this, to relaunch this original series, on this day of all days. It seems a bit patriarchal, and for that I am sorry. Okay, I did not know. I didn't pay close enough attention to the Google clip art to know that it was International Women's Day. Okay, forgive me, women, international women. I'm sorry. I'm just a biological man who identifies as a man who's trying to do the right thing, the rant thing. And sorry for jumping back into the fray for the first time on this important day, okay? I'm just trying to have a little podcast pressure release valve. You don't see me out here making a Marvel movie, a Captain Marvel movie, okay? At least I'm not even putting my face out there, okay? Everybody else has to look at Brie lobotomy face Larson. I'm not gonna put people through that pain with me. Plausible deniability and doxing and all that. But enough of the formalities. I'm sorry for sharing the stage with International Women's Day. I love you, women. Thank you for everything you do internationally and all that. Anyway, welcome everybody. Like I said in the intro, I chose ROBrants. If you're listening right now, that means that you did too. And I'm so glad to be back here for the first time, just ranting the sweet gospel truth. You might notice that the format and the graphics tend to emulate something that may or may not be popular. TED Talks. Never heard of it. This is ROBrants. TED can talk. Rob will rant. TED, what is it? Technology, entertainment, design. Yeah, so you know what Rob is? It's rhetoric, opinion, belligerence. Sounds a lot more fun than that dry crap they're doing over there. But I am very excited to be here. You don't need to know who I am. Like I said, we'll work on like a pen name or an alias or something, because that's just the world we live in. We got a lot of carnivorous goons out there who would love to ruin everything good you got going in your life. And you know what? My wife has a really good job at the gas station down the road, and I'm not gonna have her lose that job by me saying something offensive and somebody blowing my thing up. So we'll come up with an alias, a pen name, in a future date. And I'm not even above using a rap name generator. However, it's difficult. Not everybody can strike gold and come up with a Childish Gambino or a Post Malone. It's difficult. But many prominent people in history have used pseudonyms. Katy Perry, Mark Twain, Karl Marx. So we'll get creative, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. For now, let's just rant a little bit, shall we, about the predicament we found ourselves in pretty much as soon as 2019 began, and we stumbled back to December and looked under the Christmas tree, and the hate crime Santa had delivered. Part 1, The Phantom Hate Crimes. Covington Catholic. And from the beginning, I remember seeing the fateful image of a smug teenage kid, white male, wearing a Make America Great Again hat. And so I did what most all of you probably did. I locked the doors to my house, turned on the shower, sat down in the tub with my clothes on, and rocked back and forth until it ended. The truth is, once I found out the kid hadn't attacked Chief Nathan Phillips, and don't worry, we'll get to that guy in a minute, but once I found out he didn't physically attack him, I kind of lost interest. You can call me old-fashioned, but maybe it's my antiquated opinion on crime, but unless something happens that would end up in a World Star Hip-Hop compilation, it ain't really going to activate my almonds. But that was my initial impression, and the conditioning and propaganda was good on this one. And I fully expected to find out that these kids and that main kid, Nicholas Sandman, had tuned up Chief Nathan Philadelphia Eagles. But the reality is, as we all know, it was far less World Star Hip Hop and far more I need to speak to your manager. A bit disappointing if you ask me. But the media didn't think so. You see a bunch of trigger warning, pro-life, Trump supporting white males, teenagers, by the way. They were waiting for their bus. Apparently, they were in D.C. for this March for Our Lives, not to be confused with the one from a couple months ago where you had David Hogg and the Parkland posse, the Parkland Give Me Your Guns posse out there, marching around and doing whatever that was. We'll probably get to that in the future as well. But so they were like waiting for the bus. They were participating in this rally, this meeting, this march. There was a pro-life thing, and it should be noted that was not a public school. No public school would allow that. It was a Catholic school. So they attended this on some field trip thing, and they're waiting for their bus, and then right from the beginning, once the cameras start rolling, they were peacefully harassed by a bunch of large black men dressed like pharaohs, and they were just out there teaching them about the Bible. And here's a sampling of what was said to them.
You gotta claim your past, claim your true history, claim the Greeks, claim the Romans. The Greeks was a bunch of homosexuals, just like the Romans. That on the back of the court system, in God we trust. On the back of your dollar bill, it says, in God we trust, but you give rights.
Yeah, so there's that. You can say what you will about these guys, but I have some measure of respect for the fact that they just do not care. They have no filter, and they will say whatever they want. They enjoy publishing it too. They are not afraid of putting their material out there. Their actual self-described title is Black Hebrew Israelites. Very interesting. I've heard a lot about them. Haven't really looked that much into it, but it seems pretty entertaining. But yeah, what is ironic is that they had some 2 hours of this footage, and it had a pretty instrumental role in vindicating them of the allegations, and vindicating these kids of the allegations that were being made against them. Moving on, let's get into what happened next.
A troubling scene many are calling racist played out in Washington yesterday on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. Some students harassing an older Native American man, a Vietnam vet.
Outrage over this now viral video showing high school teenagers harassing a Native American elder.
A crowd of teenagers surrounding a Native American elder and other activists as one smirking high school student blocks the elder's path. Smirking.
Oh, the smirk. Oh, there's so much to unpack right here. The smirk heard around the world after they get this Bible study courtesy of the Black Hebrew Israelites. They are serenaded by a Native American elder and his band, Chief Nathan Phillips and the Go Back to Europe Boys. And you know, the thing is, the more I looked into this, the more I began to objectively examine this incident between these two groups, and especially these two individuals. I started to see that, you know what this is? This is a played out Hollywood trope. And I'm like, where have I seen this before? And then I remembered.
Hey, Quincy! Oh yeah! What does Quincy Orcha mean? White devil.
You know what? Before I go any further, let's address the elephant ears in the room. That dude looked like a caricature of an Indian, like an old school Disney interpretation of an Indian. That Indian from the 80s who cried that single tear when he saw the trash, you know, the commercial. That dude wouldn't have stood a chance against Nathan Phillips and those ears. That dude is an Elizabeth Warren level Indian compared to Chief Nathan Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm going to assume you saw the video because, I don't have the ability to be, splicing all this in. I can barely get these clips in. Chief Nathan Satellite Ears and the You Stole the Land We Stole crew, they saunter over to the Covington kids, and Chief Three Teeth, that dude literally had like 3 teeth hanging out of his mouth. He gets in front of one of them and just proceeds to bang that genuine Indian drum for literally like an hour. And I honestly don't know who demonstrated greater endurance in this whole thing. It's Chief sitting stereotype banging that drum offbeat for an hour, or Catholic Norman Bates holding that smug grin for an hour. And fair is fair. If I'm gonna go that direction on Nathan Satellite Ears, I'm gonna go that direction on Nicholas Sandman. You know he looks like Norman Bates. I didn't watch all that interview he did with that fake news lady, but I saw what he was wearing. That sweater. Yeah, he was a dead ringer for Norman Bates in that sweater. And I know I'm coming off strong making fun of appearances. It sounds pretty hypocritical considering I'm not showing my face. Take a look at what they did to Nicholas Norman Bates Sandman. He showed his face. Let's segue into that real quick. It didn't take long for Nicholas Bates to be identified. And I have to say, I vastly underestimated what the public would do to that kid and to his class. Because you go back to the Parkland shooting, and there were commentators on YouTube and beyond. They were at best getting censored, and in some and in most cases, honestly, they were getting banned for questioning any aspect of that situation generally, or those kids specifically. So you get David Harvard Hogg. He's another Norman Bates clone, and his friend Imperator Furiosa, Emma Gonzalez, they were untouchable. They were untouchable. When they spoke, your only response was to shut up and listen. You couldn't say anything against them, or that's insensitive. They're just a bunch of kids and they've been through so much, and they're a bunch of kids. They're a bunch of kids, right? Juxtapose them with Nicholas Sandman, the Covington kids. The same politicians, the same media, the same celebrities, the same blue checkmark cult who worship at the Church of Parkland. Is there an echo in here? Anyway, those same people wanted those Covington kids destroyed, figuratively and literally destroyed. So let's say it's worst case scenario. Let's say those kids or Nicholas Bates Motel attacked Chief running 747 wingspan, and they committed a criminal act. They assaulted the wise drum-beating elder man, and they would have been held liable for whatever they did in criminal court. That still would not justify what the previously mentioned enlightened class advocated for. And they didn't do anything wrong. At the end of the day, they didn't do anything wrong. They waited for a bus. Rosa Parks waited for a bus, and she was a hero. These kids didn't even have a bus yet. They were waiting for one, and they're heroes. They're heroes like Rosa Parks. Where we're at now is pretty entertaining because there is a liability issue. It's coming to fruition. Norman Sandman is dropping these nuclear lawsuits on something like 50 separate individuals and media entities, including the Washington Post, and they're specifically getting sued for $250 million. That's 250 million American dollars, people. $250 million. Is he going to get that? Definitely not. But he'll get a payout though, and he's going to be a millionaire by the end of this. And good for him. Same man, and he's also going after Covington Catholic High School and Nathan Phillips. I was like, that is beautiful. Your school stabbed you in the back. Immediately afterward, they capitulated. They immediately bowed the knee. It's like, we're so sorry. We're going to look into this. It's like, have some, like, do you have any loyalty to your kids, to like the kids whose parents are paying your salaries and maybe look into this, maybe this? No. This is the world we're in now. We're just like, oh my God. It's coming to us now. We gotta, bend the knee. We'll look into this. We'll do whatever you say. It's like, now you're getting sued for it. And good. And Nathan Phillips is getting sued for it. And good. You know what? You figured he would have heard a lawsuit coming. Oh, that dude better hope that Dumbo live action movie brings in a lot of money at the box office. I feel like he's going to get rolled hard, and he deserves it. So let's end this segment talking about why this whole thing happened. I mean, it's the perfect storm on the surface. You get a bunch of racist, MAGA hat wearing, privileged white males harassing this beloved Native American elder who was a Vietnam veteran, by the way. So I'm gonna break down that statement. Yes, it's sarcastic, but it's the literal narrative of what we were sold. All right, let's start from the beginning. MAGA hat wearing. Think of a MAGA hat as a white phenotype. This isn't my opinion. This is the narrative, which has been used remarkably successfully to create an image. And that image has always been a white person generally, and a white male specifically. There are a few outliers, and honestly, right now the only one that comes to mind is Kanye West. I could do an entire episode on the MAGA hat phenomenon. Ask yourself, honestly, is there a single article of clothing created within the past decade which incites such an emotional response in people? It would be amusing if it wasn't so disturbing. So like I said, the MAGA hat itself just deserves an episode, but that comes later. When it comes to Covington, though, MAGA hat wearing was part of a sequence of descriptors, but don't take my word for it.
Yesterday, a Native American man was confronted by young people with Make America Great hats on.
Wearing a Make America Great Again hat.
The video appears to show dozens of youths wearing Make America Great Again hats.
And those kids in the Make America Great Again hats that were kind of smirking at him.
Smirking.
So where are we at on this? Racist, MAGA hat wearing, privileged white males. Okay, privileged white males. What is privilege? For that matter, what is white? I could even say, what is male? Unfortunately, for all of us, I'm going to put a bookmark in that one too, and we'll come back to it in the future. Trust me, that's a series in itself. So let's close this out with harassing a beloved Native American elder, and let's have some fun with this one. Harassment is apparently waiting for a bus and having a weird, big-eared, three-toothed, greasy Indian beat a drum in your face for an hour. Native American. Unfortunately, I'm going to bookmark that one for a later date as well, because believe me, I have a lot to say about the peaceful inhabitants who waged war against each other before Europeans came and waged war better. Elder. Native American elder. God, talk about a tired Hollywood trope. The Native American elder. It conjures up this image of this wise, aged, stoic, esoteric brown man in a full Indian garb. And he's this veritable wealth of profound philosophical knowledge and insight. Contrast with the ugly, selfish, predatory Europeans. I don't know how many times I heard Nathan Umbrella Ears Phillips described as a Native American elder, a beloved Native American elder, the wise, kind Native American elder. That statement is so goddamn pretentious. Elder is a rare word in modern English, okay? It's very rare. And it got burnt to extinction thanks to this Covington thing. Look at it this way. When you see an old white man, do you describe him as an old, or as a, it's hard to even break through, Do you describe him as a European American elder? Probably not. You probably would describe him as an old white guy. I rest my case. Stop churching it up. Vietnam veteran. Nathan Phillips never fought in Vietnam. He claimed he was a recon ranger, whatever the hell that is. No, my friends. He was a refrigerator repairman who was discharged and had a history of going AWOL. By the way, the YouTube commentator who exposed that fact has had his channel removed for unspecified reasons. Imagine my shock. Nathan Phillips is an opportunistic old con man. He was adopted and raised by white parents. Then, somewhere along the line, he decided to reconnect with his heritage. Wouldn't have been an issue if his intentions were pure. They weren't. They aren't. He's been on a campaign to generate social capital and likely money by playing up to the very stereotype he claims is so offensive. My sincere hope is that this beloved, big-eared, Bucky, three-toothed, stolen valor, Vietnam-era refrigerator repairman elder in every media entity, celebrity, politician, and blue-checked cult member on Twitter has to empty their bank accounts and pay my dude, Nicholas Smirking Sandman, in the Covington Chads.
Part 2, The Phantom Hate Crimes. Jussie Smollett.
I'm pissed off.
What is it that has you so angry? Is it the attackers?
It's the attackers, but it's also the attacks. It's like, you know, at first it was a thing of like, listen, if I tell the truth, then that's it, because it's the truth. Mm-hmm. Then it became a thing of like, oh, how can you doubt that? Like, how do you not believe that? It's the truth.
You know, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. You're going to Subway. Sub-Zero.
Subway is open 24 hours. Like, people kill me when they say things like that, because it's like Subway is open 24 hours for a reason. So that when you're hungry at night and you ain't got no food, you go to Subway. It feels like if I had said it was a Muslim or a Mexican or someone black, I feel like the doubters would have supported me a lot more. And that says a lot about the place that we are in our country right now. The people who I am now one of those people who have been attacked in any way. You do such a disservice when you lie about things like this.
What do you feel people need to hear the most from this story?
I think that what people need to hear is just the truth. It's just the truth. The truth, 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 the truth.
Authorities now saying that reported hate crime was all a hoax.
From the very beginning, we had some questions about it.
Entertainer Jussie Smollett arrested and charged.
The scratches and bruising that you saw on his face was most likely self-inflicted.
Smollett stated,
"It feels like if I had said it was a Muslim or a Mexican or someone black, I feel like the doubters would have supported me."
These statements by Smollett further misled the police and the public to believe his attackers were white.
This is America in 2019.
That's right, this is America in 2019, but more importantly, this is part 2 of episode 1, The Phantom Hate Crime. My friends, I took a hiatus to reflect further on the impact of me launching a premiere pilot episode of ROBrants during such a sacred holiday as International Women's Day. Sexist! That's right. It was sexist to me, to which I apologize. I considered purchasing a ticket to attend the opening day of Captain Marvel, but I decided that the best course of action was to leave said ticket available for a biological woman or a self-identified woman. Moving forward, I decided to bring in a co-host to help me dissect and discuss this truly spicy topic, which is the Jussie Smollett affair. I have him here with me now. My friend, introduce yourself to these unwashed masses
all 6 of them who are listening right now.
Happy belated International Women's Day. I am Carl.
You heard that right. Is in the house tonight, and I'm going to assume that you are aware of what had happened, but I have the Wikipedia page queued up, and I'm just going to read very briefly from it just to provide some context, and then we're going to get into why you're here right now, our opinion on the whole affair. You know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's discuss the hate crime in the room. Naming a individual, a man, Jussie Smollett. Your opinions, Carlos.
My opinion is it's Jussie in the streets, juicy in the sheets.
You heard it here first. Awful name. Sounds like a Johnny Cash song, but realistically, Jussie Smollett is a member of the LGBTQ plus squared divided by 3 community. With a name like that, did you really assume that that individual would be anything other than homosexual? Jussie Smollett sounds like a man who enjoys pleasuring other men sexually. But we're a family-friendly show. We're not going to go much further than that. But let's get down to business. The 2019 Chicago incident. So this goes all the way back to January 22nd, 2019, where Jussie Smollett received a threatening letter depicting a stick figure hanging from a tree with a gun pointing towards it. But just spoiler alert, let's keep in mind that Jussie Smollett drew this.
And they found out that he wrote this himself with the little hearts drawn over the eyes.
We'll get to that. So it read Smollett. We're going to refer to Smollett as Smollett because that sounds far more exotic, and we are an exotic podcast. So Smollett, Jussie, you will die. Whew! Clutching my pearls. It's such a statement. Smollett, Jussie, you will die. And MAGA. And it contained a white powder, determined to be Tylenol. On January 29th, so this was 7 days later, Smollett said that he was attacked in the early morning of that day in the 300 block of East Lower North Water Street in Chicago's Streeterville neighborhood. It sounds uppity. And what was initially investigated to be a hate crime. The Chicago police later determined Smollett orchestrated the attack. Well, that's news to me. I'm just kidding. I knew ahead of time. This was bull. Smollett told the police he was attacked outside his apartment building by 2 men in ski masks who called him racial and homophobic slurs and said, "This is MAGA country," referencing President Donald Trump's slogan, "Make America Great Again," and used their hands, feet, and teeth as weapons in the assault. Hold up.
Don't get me excited.
Hey. They used their hands, feet, and teeth as weapons in the assault.
This sounds like a good night for old Jussie.
See, and in the interview, which we here at ROBrants painstakingly went through so that you don't have to, Jussie Smollett said that he found it like just insulting and offensive that anyone would question that this was some kind of a date gone wrong, an affair gone wrong. I don't know. As soon as you incorporate teeth as weapons in the assault, kind of lends some credence to that whole notion.
Have you ever experienced raking before?
No.
That is assault.
Don't want to talk about that. Raking? And anyway, according to this statement released by the Chicago Police Department, the 2 suspects poured an unknown liquid on Smollett and put a noose around his neck. Smollett said that he fought them off. He was adamant about that. He let everybody know he fought.
That's probably a couple swats and slaps.
Yeah, I can't imagine how somebody named Jussie Smollett would fight.
A lot of squeaking.
So Smollett was treated at the Northwestern Memorial Hospital. Not seriously injured, he was released in good condition later that morning. The police were called after 2:30 a.m. and they arrived at 2:40 a.m. Smollett had a white rope around his neck. Okay, so I guess we're to infer from this Wikipedia article that he was like in the hospital with this rope around his neck.
He went to the hospital with the rope.
The way that this is
and
written,
after the police.
Yeah. So how do you explain that to the medical professional?
It matched his outfit really well, I
We're
guess.
Like, hey, you have a rope around your neck, and he's saying, "Nah, don't worry about that."
The
that's weird.
victimhood has become his identity.
Yeah, that's weird. Smollett said that the attack may have been motivated by his criticism of the Trump administration, and that he believed the alleged assault was linked to the threatening letter that he sent to himself. The threatening letter that was sent to him earlier that month. He sent it to himself. I mean,
did he pay for postage at the same time?
Yes, I assume that he went to every possible length. So the next part of this article is the initial reaction to the incident. Everybody knows how everybody reacted to this. It was horrible, catastrophic in this current day, in this current year. Democratic senators and presidential candidates Kamala Harris and Cory Booker both described the attack as an attempted modern-day lynching.
Isn't he related to Harris?
I don't know. All I know is that lynching is already illegal. So this is where it gets interesting. So the investigation. And initially I will say this. I was a bit taken aback by how energetically the Chicago police approached this, because I was, Chicago has a certain stigma attached to it when it comes to investigations, and just we'll get to that. I think that in this, the Chicago police department, they had a rhyme and a reason for what they were doing, but so yeah, the investigation on February 13th, Chicago police raided the homes of two quote-unquote persons of interest in the case. These men are brothers of Nigerian descent who have acted as extras on Empire. Police recovered bleach and other items from the home. The brothers were held in police custody on suspicion of battery, but were not charged. According to the brothers' attorney, they know Smollett from working on the show, and have also spent time with him in the gym.
The gym's sauna.
Weird. I ain't saying nothing. You can draw your own conclusions with that. But these two men were released on February 15th without being charged with a crime, with Chicago Police Department spokesperson Anthony Gorlami is stating the release was due to new evidence from the interrogation. Evidence indicating that Smollett had paid the two brothers $3,500 to stage the attack. Your thoughts right now?
$3,500 a piece?
Total, I think.
Wow, they got ripped off.
Well, that's a bold statement. Financial records indicate that the brothers purchased the rope around Smollett's neck at a hardware store in Ravenswood over the weekend of January 25th. It seems like he is covering every expenditure. I wouldn't say that they got ripped off. They were also caught on camera in a clothing store where they bought gloves, ski mask, and a red hat that police say was used in the attack. The brothers asked specifically for a MAGA hat, which the store did not sell. So I think that our man Juicy Smollett, he was prepared to pay any price to make this happen, to make this authentic. Unfortunately, he was going local. I mean, props to him, honestly. He was going local.
Yeah, mom and pop stores. Baby.
He wasn't going through the Amazon. I will be honest, if I was to do something like this, I probably would have gone with Amazon.
You purchased me on Amazon.
I've always said that if you're going to be a criminal, be good at being a criminal. And this dude had a paper trail from day one. This is what's so funny to me. They caught them buying all the articles of clothes. They've reached out to his attorney regarding these purchases. The FBI is now investigating Whether he was involved in the threatening... He was. We can say definitively he was involved with that god-awful letter. It gets weird here. On February 19th, 2019, Cook County State's attorney announced that she was recusing herself from the investigation due to her familiarity with potential witnesses in the case. She must have been an extra on Empire as well, you know. Moving on, he's hired a crisis manager to represent him. Do you think he's paying you more or less than $3,500 to represent him?
It might be $3,501.
Dude, either way, this is so... Boy, we are getting into the crux of it now. And so on February 20th, Smollett was charged with a Class 4 felony for filing a false police report. His felony count charge in Illinois carried a maximum sentence of 3 years in prison. He hired another attorney to, in addition to Chicago-based attorneys. He has 3 attorneys now to work his legal defense.
Sounds like
okay. Look, there is no way in hell that that $3,500 that he's not met that expenditure at this rate. He should have paid more. He should have paid professionals. Am I saying I'm professional? No.
I'm kind of retarded.
I'm saying that I probably could have done a better job. I would not have asked the store clerk deliberately for a Make America Great.
Excuse me. Do you act on a nationally syndicated television TV show?
Yeah. So later that day, Chicago Police Superintendent Eddie T. Johnson held a press conference on the hoax. He gave details of the investigation, explained how the department concluded the alleged assault was staged. Chicago police believe that Smollett staged the attack as a publicity stunt to further his career, as he was not satisfied for his salary. The brothers say that they helped stage the attack and said that Smollett had the idea to fake the crime after the threatening letter he received did not receive as much attention as it wanted. Go out on a whim here and say that you got a lot more money per episode than you were willing to pay these 2 brothers to orchestrate this crime. Significantly more. I'm talking you got like 6 figures for each episode. That I've never seen this show. I have no and now actually I'd say I want to watch Empire. Do you want to watch Empire now? I feel like we need to watch Empire after we do this episode.
No.
We're going to watch Empire after we do this episode. I can't wait to see Jesse Smollett. He's rare. He's rare air now. So I guess we'll conclude this backstory before we go into the meat and the potatoes of this episode by talking about on International Women's Day, the day that I felt like taking a break from this whole thing. Jussie Smollett was indicted on 16 felony counts of false report of offense related to the incident. 16 felony counts. Happy International Women's Day, Jussie. But let's break this down, shall we? All right, so it was a lot to unpack tonight, but your opinions on hate crimes. Go ahead.
I think any crime with the intent to cause harm is already motivated by hate, regardless of creed, gender, skin color, etc. Fill in the blank of identity outside of individuality here.
I found it painfully ironic that Chicago, being the epicenter for what happened, was also the epicenter for, it was about a year ago. I don't have it sitting right in front of me because coincidentally the internet is down here at the ROBrants central base. But yeah, so you get this hate crime that occurs in Chicago, and not so long ago there was a hate crime that sort of received the same amount of publicity involving a certain Caucasian individual. He was severely handicapped, and he was kidnapped by 4 African American individuals, and if memory serves me correct, 3 of them were minors, and they tortured him and held him hostage for approximately 72 hours, during which time they made him drink toilet water, They cut him with razor blades. They live streamed him. They live streamed this whole process on Facebook. So you had every direct evidence that you needed in a criminal court to convict these individuals. And as far as I know, once again, memory serving me correct, considering the internet is down, these individuals are facing probation, all four. Whereas you have Jussie Smollett, who was adamant about whatever individual perpetrated this fake crime facing the full force of the law, courtesy of the Chicago Police Department. When these individuals were presented on the screen during the interview, he said, "Yeah, those are the two. I'm willing to testify against them." In the event that those weren't the two that were eventually brought forward, being these Nigerian brothers who were in cahoots with him, they could have been two random individual persons, and they would have felt the full force of this alleged hate crime. It makes me wonder, are people aware of the implications there? Because these people would have been absolutely crucified in the public square, and that frightens me.
He was going to sell them out.
Yeah,
either way, no matter what way it went.
Whoever they were, and that's very troubling, and
I think that makes them the bigger victims.
It absolutely makes them the victims because they didn't ask for this. Whoever these people were. I mean, thank God that these were these two Nigerian brothers, and they eventually came forward in the 47th hour of this 48-hour interrogation, and told the officers exactly what had happened. But let's say that those weren't those brothers. That if they were just two random individuals, the public had already made up their mind in the form of the media, the politicians, and the blue checkmark cult, that these people were guilty of whatever Jussie Smollett had charged them of. That's terrifying to me. He didn't care. They didn't care. They were already completely invested in this person. Thankfully, the truth came out on what had happened. See, I don't know what else, what more there is to say, other than this is an absolute abortion of justice, courtesy of Jussie Smollett, and one would hope that the media would learn from their mistakes. But as I said at the beginning of this part 2 of the episode 1, the Phantom Hate Crime, this was on the heels of the Covington Catholic thing, where there was no objective journalism, where these people just accepted the narrative, and they did it twice. They did it a second time with Jussie Smollett. They were almost hungry for such a crime. Your thoughts?
Fool me once and fool me twice. You know how the saying goes.
I've heard George W. Bush say that. Yeah, you can't fool me again.
I think, like I said, it's a good illustration on how the left views political discourse. They see political discourse as violent and dangerous, where individuals like you and I, we see people who vote opposite of us, and they're still friends. We don't see them as someone we want to cause harm to or will cause harm to us.
And just the fact that this was absolutely fabricated is so troubling. All jokes aside, if you're going to make something up, if you're going to create a crime, be good at it. Nothing about this was thorough. Nothing about this was well thought out. It was sloppy. It was trashy. It was messy from the beginning.
Don't use a perpetrator who's completely disconnected from reality of American life. This guy's a millionaire, acts. He probably lives in an area in Chicago not too many people see.
Yeah. It's just it boggles the mind. But I guess the most depressing part is that none of this really surprises us. Is that no, this is absolutely made up. We all came to terms with this in our own way over whatever timeline was presented. Like, some of us sooner rather than later, but we all knew that this was fake. And it wasn't until, like, concrete evidence was presented that it was fake. And that's why, I mean, props to the Chicago Police Department, because initially I was like, this is insulting that they're dedicating this much time and effort to looking into this. But in reality, this was to cover themselves, because if they, like, the stigma that would have been attached to the Chicago Police Department to allowing a hate crime such as this to fester and to go unsolved would have been catastrophic in the end, because it would have allowed Jussie Smollett and his ilk to win. They had to solve this crime. They had to solve it quickly, and they did that, because if they wouldn't, I mean, look at the byproduct. It would have created just a further issue. So they did exactly what they needed to do in solving this crime. And now, I mean, who knows where it goes from here? Undoubtedly, Jussie Smollett will say that he was framed. That this is fabricated. That the police pressured him into whatever the conclusion is reached. But I mean, take a step back and objectively look at this. You know exactly what has happened. I mean, this is a fraud. From the start to the beginning, this is a fraud. And who is the undeserving recipient? White people.
He said, let me guess, white devil, white devil? Yes.
At the end of the day, I know this may sound controversial for the first episode of this podcast, but it is white people who are the unwilling and also common recipients of something like this. Because you know what?
How many people confuse fiction with reality? You know, whether it's true or not, some people take that kind of lesson and apply it to their real life.
Yeah, and it's the thing is, in these echo chambers, which exist beyond a doubt, because I mean that's how something like this is allowed to persist, is through echo chambers, because these media echo chambers believe without a shadow of doubt that America is evil, that there's something like this absolutely could have happened. Within these echo chambers, it is true, and it's encouraged, it's supported. It's like you have individuals on Twitter who are, God, I really hope this is true. Why would you hope this is true? This is something awful. Why would you want this to be true? But there were people out there that did that. There were people out there that were hoping for the benefit of Jussie Smollett and everyone else that, like, I really hope this is true, because you know what this does? This validates me. This proves a point that shows that the Covington thing, that was a fluke. No, this is real. But this isn't real. This is just a further symptom of this victim culture, victimization monopoly that exists in the country. And this is America in 2019. This is America in 2019, because you have the perfect, the fertile ground for something like this to be just absorbed and digested and accepted by the objective media class, who are, in my opinion, complicit. You agree?
Absolutely. And, like, you know, how shaky is a foundation your ideology is built on, that you have to make up a story to prove your point, or to think that your thought process is reality.
That's the thing. Do you think this guy believes this? Because I think he does. At this point, it's like he's so invested. I think that Jussie Smollett believes that this happened. I mean, he has no other choice at this point. He has to believe that this is what happened.
To separate the actor from the character, is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I mean, when I listened to that interview, it was trash. Okay, what I saw was a B-list actor acting for approximately 15 to 17 minutes, and it was cringe-inducing, and it was just, I could say, like, that was bad acting.
What I can
but the
see,
thing is, it's like he to this day he still believes he's innocent.
I think the fact that he's probably bitter that this all came out as a hoax, and his interviews has just reinforced his misinformed.
There were
mind
so
state.
many other commentators I listened to made a good point that what he should have done is just given this story and say that, yeah, I fought them, blah, blah, blah. And when the police showed up, say, no, I don't want to press charges. Nothing's going to be found out. And just err on the side that...
Careful now, you're going to give someone ideas.
Yeah, well, I mean, you want to talk about giving people ideas. Is like that was... I thought that the response that police chief gave was strong. I thought that was a great response, but at the same time, he said that this is going to give a different response. That when a hate crime is reported, people are going to respond differently, and like people aren't going to take it seriously. I'm like, I agree in a sense. What I agree with more is the fact that when people give these hate crime statistics, they're already so skewed. They're already so skewed because you know what? Keep in mind this is our pilot episode, so it's not going to be as thorough as it could be. But these hate crime, whenever a hate crime is reported, it's simply reported. It's accepted.
How do you you mentioned something about how Caucasian and Hispanic and certain FBI databases are put in the same category?
There are components of all of this that seem very deliberate, that go beyond the Jussie Smollett story, that have been exploited through the Jussie Smollett story, that play a bigger picture. One of which is, like you said, the fact that Hispanic is no longer a descriptor, a phenotype that's given when the FBI reports an incident. So if there's a crime, whether it's a hate crime or just a normal run-of-the-mill crime, the FBI does not report whatever individual perpetuated such a crime as white or Hispanic. They're simply just now white.
What did Chicago do with their gang database?
I don't know. You tell me.
The Chicago gang database got rid of racial descriptors, or they no longer include race when it comes to gang statistics in Chicago because clearly majority black, and it was racist. So now gang violence is just gang violence, and that's it.
See, and now this is. I wish I could have kept this episode light, but I mean, the truth isn't always light, and the fact of the matter is, once you take away, if you were to take away a component of the American population when it comes to X, Y, and Z, and whatever is being perpetuated, there is an entirely different statistical readout for whatever it is that's happening. You can take with that what you will. I'm just saying that that's the truth. And so when you start lumping in other ethnicities, and truly, I believe that ethnicities in themselves, we'll have a podcast on that in the future, about the whole ethnic makeup of this empire known as America. But when it comes to FBI crime statistics, when you are removing one group and just kind of absorbing it into another, it's like that creates a whole host of problems. Not necessarily problems, but it skews the statistics, to say the least. This kind of pulls back the veil. This whole Jussie Smollett story, it just pulls back the veil. And at the end of the day, the victim and the perpetrator will always be the most acceptable avenue of approach, which is the white male. I don't know how else to say that, because you go back to the beginning when you say that it was sub-zero temperature, all clothed up from head to toe, and that
somehow we inferred that this person was white. Why is that? Why is that? Was it the red hat, and they requested that it was a Make America Great Again hat, and then somehow we all of us collectively just inferred that this individual was white. That, when Jussie Smollett said that, like, this speaks volumes of us as a society. What speaks volumes of us as a society is the fact that a MAGA hat and a statement and whatever happened leads us to believe that an individual is white. Why is that? That's the question we could be asking. Is why did we come to this conclusion in this fabricated fake hate crime? I mean, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. But at the end of the day, remember that this didn't happen. This was the fabrication of an amateur criminal. I mean, that in itself is the takeaway, that this was fake. This didn't happen. You all need to remember this. This did not happen. But somehow it was accepted as if it did. Carla, please lend me your voice on this.
Just look at the recent interview with Jack Dorsey with on the Rogan podcast.
That is a great point.
About the double standards and the villainization of white men. How the rules.
Look, we're trying.
Rules for thee, not for me.
We're trying.
And then Facebook, the same. If you're a woman, if you're anything with a shade darker than egg white, the rules are different for you.
Okay, hold up, man. You're getting into some intersectional territory, and I don't think we're prepared for that.
And how many CNN Don Lemons do we have to keep telling us to shut up? Don Lemon, who is, isn't he married to a white man?
All I know is that he's very concerned for Jussie.
Yes, he is.
He texts him.
Queen Latifah still thinks it's a true story.
Well, you know what? If Queen Latifah said it's a true story, then just disregard everything you heard thus far. It's all false.
Yeah. She voiced a woolly mammoth on a kid's cartoon once. I don't even know. What is she famous for?
I don't know. Her name is Queen Latifah. That sounds pretty damn important.
Oh, man. But, like, how much sit down and shut up, white man. It's her time, or let the person of color speak. It's time for representation of anyone other than you.
What's so funny to me is the fact that he said that I never said that they were wearing MAGA hats. It doesn't matter. Do you think that matters? Do you think that that was like a principled part of his argument to say that, hey, media, stop saying they're wearing MAGA hats? In the statement of the individuals who were apprehended and admitted to this crime, they said they went to this store and they bought red hats. Why red hats?
That's so stereotypical.
Like, we all know what exactly was going on here.
Chicago Bulls?
Yeah,
maybe?
That's what it was. Man, yeah, Chicago Bulls. It's like, they were wearing the Bulls hats.
The Bears?
The Bears. So I feel like we've beaten this corpse of a horse to death. And honestly, the truth is that if Jussie Smollett wants to keep riding this thing like it's the truth, good for him, man. Keep it up. Keep doing what you're doing. We'll see how that turns out. But in all honesty, this was a case study in everything that is wrong with America in 2019. I mean, I don't say that as a joke. I say that completely unironically. This is everything that is wrong with America in 2019. The willingness to accept this, the support and encouragement that this actually happened, and everything else. It's a package deal. This is absolutely absurd. This is clown world, and we're living in it.
I wouldn't say so much America as it is just leftism and the fact that the media has no regard for the truth.
You know what? I won't. You're giving way too much credence to our friends on the right. Everybody sat by and accepted this. The people that didn't believe it were disregarded. They didn't say anything, because a lot of people, both of us included, did not accept this. We were pretty vocal about it. I know that I was like, this is a bunch of bull honky. But what can you do beyond that? You can talk to the people that are close to you. You can say that we'll just have to stand by and see what happens. But we didn't believe this was real, and when it proved that it wasn't real, are you vindicated? I don't really feel vindicated, because you know what? This was low hanging fruit.
The damage has already been done.
It has. You know what? Because it's just it's one of those like, no, this didn't happen, but it does happen every day. No, that is absurd. This does not happen every day.
It went from, look, this did happen, to well, it could have happened.
It could have
so
happened.
it's still true.
Big if true. No. We need to stop taking that into account. We need to stop accepting that, because what this was a lie. This was a lie. The phantom hate crime. Phantom for a reason. This is not real. Okay? These things do not happen. There's a lot of people out there, for whatever reasons, and for your own judgments on why they wish this did happen. But it doesn't. Okay? And where do we go from here? I don't know. Just keep not doing these hate crimes. I don't know. This is a very difficult position to be in if you're on the receiving end of these hate crimes.
I agree.
I want to thank you for joining us for episode 1, the Phantom Hate Crime. And please stay tuned, because there's much more to come. In Clown World, the ride never ends. We'll see you next time with ROBrants.
Thank you, white man.